Hello, listeners. We are so happy you are enjoying the podcast. One hope with this podcast is for more people to discover the amazing story of the Mahabharata. Liking, subscribing, and reviewing us helps other people discover the mind-bending story of the Mahabharata through our podcast. We also want to get better at podcasting, which would mean putting in more time and buying better equipment. So we have set up a Patreon, a method for you to financially support the podcast and get some exclusive Not Your Mother's Mahabharata benefits in return. Head over to patreon.com/spjayaraj. That is patreon.com/spjayaraj. Patreon.com/spjayaraj to check out our cool member benefits.
Our guest today is Peter Pearson, who you'll hear more about later in the show. All right, let's get started. This is not your mother's Mahabharata. Beware. It's fucking epic. Hosted by S.P. Jayaraj.
Welcome to Not Your Mother's Mahabharata. I am your host, S.P. Jayaraj. With me, as always, is my wife, Azure Anderson.
Hello, Azure Anderson. He looked at his notes to remember to say my name.
I did.
He did.
Yeah, because I only have names written down
Yep.
in my notes, because that's like the hardest thing to remember. Which is nice with this process that I'm getting to remember them. Speaking of names, I would like to
finally get to our guest. You didn't have Azure's name written down, did you?
I don't want to speak to that.
Got it.
Yeah. Peter Pearson.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Yeah, I am really happy to have you here.
I am excited. I've been thinking about this.
Oh, awesome. Why don't you... Who are you? Who are you, Peter Pearson?
Who are you and how did you get in our house?
Well, you do have the retinal scans from when I entered your apartment.
That's
but true. Beyond that, we've known each other, about 8 years at this point, I think?
About.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we've been married, Ash and I have been married for, it's going to be 10 years.
Yeah, it was a little bit after that.
So it was a little bit after that, yeah.
Yeah, so we met about 8 years ago, sort of through the writing world. My wife, Kate, who officiated your wedding.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And, I write books for kids and middle graders. And, play a little bit of music. Work over at Children's Minnesota doing fun events and marketing for them. And, just an overall big-time fan of stories. And so when you invited me to do this... When I finally remembered to, because of my 2 little kiddos, I was kind of like, yes, let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So here I am.
And then fortunately, we had some issues with, I guess, our car ran out of gas.
That I did pick you up because your car ran out of gas a few minutes from your house, which is also a few minutes from my house.
So you came and rescued us, and then we scheduled this podcast.
I dropped you off in front of your apartment, and almost literally on my shining steed, and then we scheduled this podcast, and now it's now. It's basically everything the audience needs to know.
And you and I actually met at least a little before you and Kate met, because we did the writing event together. It was actually at the state fair.
That's right. We were at the booth together, were we not? Yeah.
And we didn't know each other too well, so, we smiled and waved to each other.
Oh, yeah. I was, repping the Kid Lit program, and you were repping the adult program.
Yeah. You were very pleasant. I was pretending to be very pleasant.
We both were.
And
look at us now. Doing the same thing on record.
You both look extremely pleasant. I must say.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm glad
I can't tell if that's a compliment or not. You look pleasant.
I said extremely pleasant.
Extremely pleasant.
Yeah.
Okay, that changes it.
It does.
Is it too much?
Pleasant's just such a casual word. When you're extremely pleasant, I just picture someone grinning too widely.
You guys look fucking amazing.
I like that.
Or epic.
Epic would mean you're wearing wigs and high heels. I think I don't know. That's
took off both of those before I came over.
Well, good. I want you to be comfortable.
Good.
Yeah, as long as you're comfortable.
It's too hot for that. Too hot for wigs right now.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying doing this because I get to tell a story. I get to tell this great story. I'm also a fantasy writer, and so It helps me to just know this mythic story. Tell me a little bit about your connection with stories.
Goodness, I mean, stories. So, I mean, there's linguistic theorizing out there that the reason that language developed at all was so we could tell stories. Like, I think that stories, are how we organize the world, right? It's how you connect things that are important and leave out the stuff that's not important. People who tell boring stories are the ones who leave everything in, right? They tell you every single step. They don't compress time or extend time. They don't know how to sort of like skip between the important bits or call back to the things that are important now. And so they don't know how to use stories as an organizing principle. They just read transcripts. And so a story is like the good parts version of the transcript. And it's where you tell people how to draw their eye, and it's like stringing beads on a necklace. And when you tell people a story, you can actually change what they think.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a magic power, right?
It is a magic power.
Like, you've read books that have changed the way you thought about the world.
Absolutely.
I've read books that have changed the way you thought about it. That is real magic.
Yeah.
And so that's why I love stories. That's why I studied stories, because I think that, like, the ability to tell a good story, even if it's not a fictional story, is the ability to change what people care about and help the world make sense. And so, anyway, point being, I dig stories.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, all of that is why I'm really engaged in, like, this story for sure. I took a long time to get into it. It took, like, the pandemic when I actually, like, picked it up.
Yeah.
In spite of, like, growing up Indian and my grandfather telling me, like the story of how this story was written, which is its own, like, little mythic tale. And yeah, but then once I did get into it, I'm like, this is fantastic. And it's so much more original than I thought. I think the reason I struggled with, like, getting into it was also that I kind of loved the Nordic mythology. And although I haven't, like, super studied Greek and Roman, mainly because, like, it's always been in the back of my head, like, oh, everyone else is doing that.
It's like playing guitar in college. Come on.
Yeah, everyone's doing it. I'm going to pick up the tuba.
Exactly.
The tuba?
Yeah.
Not everyone's playing the tuba.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
I get it. I understand what you're saying.
See what he did there?
I do.
Yeah. So I studied a little, like, Persian mythology.
For a second, you were like, Satish, you are misinformed about tuba adoption worldwide.
I really, really did.
What version of Twitter are you on? Are you on tuba Twitter?
I don't understand. All right,
I guess
sorry.
that'd be called X-tuba now.
Yeah.
I read that backwards.
Got it.
Please continue.
Yeah. So I did, like...
As Willy Wonka would say, strike that.
Strike that. Reverse it.
Reverse it.
I say that all the time.
It's a good line.
Nobody ever gets it.
Thanks, Gene Wilder.
Thanks, Gene Wilder.
Thanks, Gene Wilder.
So, I studied a little Persian mythology, and there were these connections, like, with Joseph Campbell's old monomyth, which I loved. And then I get to this, and this is just different. This is not those. There are always some kind of similarities and things. And then there are some people, like, making connections between Greek mythology and Hindu mythology that's kind of through stories, which is, like, how it's affected things. I think it goes down to even Alexander the Great, but ultimately, like, this book is supposed to be containing of everything.
How old is this text?
So it's 3000 BCE and then maybe 1500 BCE.
Okay.
It's gone through revisions. It's not always been a text. It's been an oral tradition. Sure. And so as it's kind of been changed and as people have told the story and, like, grabbed onto certain aspects of the story, it's just kind of changed. Okay. And then some, as kind of stories should. Yeah. Did we get to what is your familiarity with this one then?
Yeah, very little. I've traveled to India. I know some stories about, like, Lakshmi and things like that, but I don't. When you mentioned this to me, I was like, I do not know what that is. I kind of know the Ramayana, I guess. Okay. But cool. But like in a the way a white Midwesterner would know the Ramayana. Okay. So
I don't know anything about the Ramayana.
Yeah. I just want to let the listeners know that Peter is white.
I am.
Yeah.
I am. That's That's
And
me.
a Midwesterner.
I am.
I am too.
Anyway.
If you didn't realize that already.
Yeah, so that's my familiarity, and I intentionally did no research. I have no idea of the scope of this myth or anything about it. So
Okay.
I'm ready to dig on in.
Well, let's dig on in. I'll draw one connection with you is that the Ramayana, the way that chronologically happened before the Mahabharata, and in that story, it's about Rama, hence the Ramayana.
Yeah.
And Rama is an incarnation of Vishnu, one of the main gods, I would say, in Hindu mythology. Once Rama passes, his next life, I don't think there were any in between, but is of Krishna.
Okay.
And Krishna features quite prominently in the Mahabharata.
Okay.
He's not so much in today's, he has been born. So last time what we covered is we're covering this one family that are kings and queens, mostly kings. And we've just kind of traced them through the generations. So, our last version, our last tale that we told, we took us to the point where we have, all of one family. You have...
Previously on the Mahabharata.
Previously on. Not your mother's Mahabharata.
Yes.
Exactly.
We are looking at Dhritarashtra. So Dhritarashtra is a king of Hastinapura, or Bharatha. Hastinapura is kind of the city. It means city of elephants.
Okay.
But that's the capital. So Dhritarashtra is king of Hastinapura. He was born blind. His wife is Gandhari, who, when she married Dhritarashtra, put on a blindfold and has not taken it off and has vowed not to take it off.
I have mixed feelings about.
It's kind of hardcore, but also,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, she
Mixed.
also had a blessing that she would have 100 sons.
Is that a blessing?
That's what I said.
It was an interesting birth.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
The oldest of that son now is Duryodhana. So he's a guy we're going to keep coming back to. When Duryodhana was born, the shit went down in the world. Like, there were storms, there were... Every animal was doing... Every evil animal, as we've learned in mythology, were doing evil animal things.
Ooh.
They were probably clashing with each other. There was a lot of bad mojo going on. And there was some that said that, this is this kid who's been born. So, I don't know if you guys have seen The Omen. But
If not.
But, this
I
is
get the
the
present.
devil.
I get the
The devil's
idea
been
of it.
born. We need to do away with him.
Gotcha.
They were like, the king and queen were like, no.
Doing away with the devil, that always totally works out, from what I understand.
Yeah. So they didn't want to do that, clearly. So, this is the line of the course. So Dhritarashtra's sons are known as the Kauravas. And that is Duryodhana, and then 100 of his brothers, and then one sister, Dushala. And
So it's
then,
like the Smurfs, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Because the interesting thing now
Excellent,
about
excellent.
this is that Duryodhana and one other brother are the only ones that really are kind of talked about. The other ones are mentioned, but they don't have their own real stories. They're wrapped into this whole thing of being the 100 brothers.
They're all just kind of this doofy chorus that goes around.
Yeah, exactly. Doing whatever Duryodhana
We are the
says.
men
Okay.
of 100 brothers.
The exception to that,
100 brides for 100 brothers.
Yeah, but there's not 100 brides for them. There's just a bunch of brides. Well, there might be.
there might be coming forward. We'll see. We're not there yet.
I don't know.
They're very
of
young
them
at this
yet.
point. So Duryodhana, as we really get into
God, are
his
they
part
just
of
like
the
little
tale,
toddlers running around then?
yeah, 100 toddlers running around.
Oh my god.
Yeah. There's the one half brother, and the names will, if you forget, just let me know, we'll get back to them.
I'll just steal your notebook.
Yeah, just steal the notebook. Is Yuyutsu, who was actually not Gandhari's kid. Gandhari was pregnant for 2 years. So Dhritarashtra became, let's say, impatient.
With hexadecatuplets.
Yeah. What is the centauruplets?
I don't know. I
Centuryuplets.
centuplets. I guess you
Centuryuplets.
could get it all done in one shot.
Yeah. You just need to know this.
Okay.
Gandhari gave birth to a sphere of ironclad flesh.
Oh, God.
Jesus Christ.
After 2 years of being pregnant.
Yeah, and she kind of got angry because,
Of course.
at some point, and something had happened, so she started beating kind of
at a certain point, your wound is just kind of done.
Yeah.
She started punching herself until it came out.
And that's what came out.
It's horrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So she birthed an iron bowling ball.
Yeah.
Iron
Yes.
skin-covered bowling ball, basically.
Yeah.
That is...
Iron skin. I would say iron skin.
That's horrifying.
Yeah.
Continue.
It is, yes.
A rishi, so a wise man who's lived in the forest, who has magic powers and wisdom and all that shit. Mm-hmm. Sprinkled some water in it.
A wizard ascetic.
A wizard ascetic. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wizard ascetic sprinkled some water in it, started removing bits and putting them into vases with ghee in it.
Yeah.
And
which is delicious.
Yeah, which is delicious. And that's what these little specks of flesh fed on. That's where they grew up and were born out of. So they broke out of the pot when they were ready to be born.
So it's kind of like old school IVF.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was those 100. In the meantime...
I guess IVF with V is for vase.
Oh, yeah, I like that. We'll figure out the other syllables. So, that was Dhritarashtra. His brother is Pandu. Pandu was born as an albino. Mm-hmm. And otherwise very physically fit and strong. It should be mentioned that Dhritarashtra is also actually very strong. But blind, and so that kind of complicates, like, who's going to be king? Mm-hmm. Pandu, though the second son is stronger.
Is this one of those stories where it's like it is only the blind who truly see? Is there that aspect?
You know, I would actually say no.
Or is it's just kind of a pain in the butt, like you can't see anything?
What's interesting is that how they Duryodhana as this kid who kind of becomes evil. Mm-hmm. Some of the theories are that, his parents weren't really watching what he was doing.
One of them definitely wasn't.
No. Neither of them.
Okay.
Because she doesn't take this off. Like,
yep.
she has
she
has the blindfold on.
Yep.
So...
Blind by choice is a very small category.
Yeah.
People.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Pandu basically does this whole thing where he just gets whole new land for the kingdom, doing very well. However, he gets cursed in that he cannot have kids. Mm-hmm. He's like, fuck this shit, and he goes to live in the woods with his two wives.
Statistically, it's probably good that there are at least some people can have kids in this story.
I guess this is ancient. Yeah, with 100 of them, right?
I mean, the math of that gets pretty grim.
But they're vase kids.
Oh, yeah, well...
Don't judge them.
I mean, they're probably all weirdly shaped.
I mean, I guess, yeah.
Like, how do
kids do come out womb-shaped, so...
How do they get out of the vases, then,
Maybe they hulk out of them.
Like that?
Yeah. I mean, they're like little baby birds.
I broke it with my elbows.
Maybe they have...
Well, that's true. They're just clay pots.
Maybe they have vase teeth. Like egg teeth.
Oh, it got worse. It got worse.
Listen, you're the one delving into the weird specifics of this.
I know,
I'm just...
Let's move away from them.
Okay.
Let's move away from them.
Favorite part so far, though. It's so visual.
Uh-huh.
It's so, like, visceral and visual and, like, this...
And viscous.
And viscous. And now there's teeth. And I'm upset.
Okay.
But...
all the hallmarks of a good story.
So...
I agree. Please continue.
Pandu, the brother, who kind of is very well equipped, the person they expect to be king, he gets cursed that he cannot have kids. Okay. If he has sex, he will die.
Oh, that's worse than being barren.
And he's got two beautiful wives, who he can't fuck now.
So his dick is like booby-trapped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So he decides to he says, fuck it, I'm going to go live in the woods, I'm just going to be celibate, because I kind of have to be. Mm-hmm. And then so something that happens in the story is that celibacy, in combination with like other like mental practices and being focused, it leads to superpowers. It's how the rishis kind of have their superpowers, and so Pandu's like, fuck it, that's the life that's going to be.
It all just backs up into your brain and you get enlightened.
It's literally that though.
Is that the theory?
Yeah.
The
No,
theory.
it's like, and we looked it up because there are some, because this is all tied to Indian culture things and Ayurveda.
It's so insane.
That's exactly it though. Like, it's like, the brain is the first part that is affected by celibacy. Like, that the goodness is absorbed back into the body, primarily the brain. To me, that there's something like magical about like the complexity of human life, and it's like, hey, if you want to be celibate and become like a super genius at something, the body provides.
I have a visual for this too, but I'm not going to tell you.
Oh, okay.
Continue.
I'm okay with that. Pandu ends up having, however...
As long as you don't have something auditory, just go with it.
No.
Okay, good.
I mean, it could be, but I'm not going to.
Kunti is Pandu's first wife, and the older wife. She had a blessing so that she actually could fuck gods. She can call upon a god to come and give her a child. And no one really knew she had this, but she tells Pandu. And what's nice in the system is that basically the system means that like those will be Pandu's kids because she's married to Pandu. Mm-hmm. So that way he still will get to be a father. So she called upon 3 gods. She's actually done it 4 times because she did it when she first got this gift, but that was years ago when she was a kid.
Well, teenager.
Yeah. Young kid.
It's an intense discovery to make.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah. But in this case, so she's got 3 kids from this. They are Yudhishthira, and these are now the main characters of the Mahabharata. We've got Duryodhana from Dhritarashtra, and now the Pandavas. So the Pandavas are Yudhishthira, whose true father is Yama, the god of death, the god of dharma and destiny, essentially. I equate dharma and destiny. The second kid is Bheema.
Okay.
Not to be confused with, although often is with me, the grandfather, whose name is Bhishma. We're going to stick with just Bheema for most of this. Gotcha. Bheema is the son of the wind. Super fucking strong.
Yeah, wow.
You know, like tornadoes and all that sort of stuff. Arjuna
twirls a lot. Twirls a lot.
Twirls a lot.
Kid won't sit still.
A vortex child.
He is. He doesn't. Arjuna, which is the name you might be familiar with, is the son of Indra.
Okay.
And Arjuna is an exceptional archer. And in the Bhagavad Gita, it's that conversation between Arjuna and Krishna.
Okay.
And in fact, when Arjuna is born, Krishna is either born like at the same time or close to it. And there's all these foretellings that these two are the reincarnations of Vishnu together.
How does that work?
I don't know.
Okay.
But that is there. Because there's other things where like there's reincarnations of gods in this where that god's still around doing their thing.
I feel like reincarnations are always singular, but...
Yeah, not so much with this.
Okay. So they're both like Horcruxes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, maybe.
Yeah.
Good
Horcruxes.
Maybe they're just parts of Vishnu.
Aspects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a concept that
Or
they have?
still whole and part of the bigger picture, you know?
Okay.
Right.
Fascinating.
Like, this is where it's like the imagination's at play, where it's like... And who knows, maybe just someone voted wrong, and now like everyone's like... 3,000 years later.
I think a
We
lot of
gotta make
religions
sense
are
of this
based on
somehow.
typos.
Sure. People latch on to the typos.
Yeah.
Because they're different. Because they're not expected. And then they're like, oh, what he meant was,
So
I should kill my neighbor.
Oh,
I
how
get
terrible.
it now. What?
That'll happen soon.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
I foretold the future.
Kunti has had 3 kids, and then Madri also wanted kids. So Kunti uses this kind of spell for Madri, the second wife, and Madri has 2 kids, Nakala and Sahadeva, who are twins and the sons of twin gods.
Okay.
So she had a grand old time.
Wow.
I was just going to say that she had a very fun night with twins.
Yeah.
Wow, so she just sort of had like a
Twins.
cosmic threesome.
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Every
And-
time the god comes down, it is a good time.
Yeah.
I mean, I figured
For her. For
Kunti
them.
was excited to fuck.
I feel like the gods come down for like
Right.
2 reasons. They're gonna smite someone or
Yeah.
they're gonna ravish someone.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. I will say Kunti loved being ravaged by Vayu. the god of the wind. Like, that was a treat for her.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure
Yeah.
it was excellent.
So...
When her husband
Yeah.
can't do it, so.
So they are living in kind of the forest and the woods, and they're just the 5, 6, 7 of them. And they've made friends with kind of the forest folk who are also rishis as well. And they're just kind of continuing their lives there while everything is going on with Duryodhana and with Dhritarashtra's 100 kids, and Duryodhana expecting to be king and wanting to be king someday.
Okay.
Yeah, in the palace in Hastinapura. So, there comes a point when everything's going well with Pandu. He hasn't thought about sex for a long time. He's raising these kids of gods, you know, loving the experience. And then there comes a day, spring, love is in the air, animals are doing it, everyone's doing it. Kunti goes off with the kids for who knows what.
Sure.
And there's a bake sale.
And a bake sale. Took him to a forest bake sale.
Aha, I knew it.
And Madhvi goes to bathe by the river. And
boy.
In like a sexy way.
yes.
Aha.
In an unintentionally sexy way.
I mean, she's unintentionally sexy.
She is unintentionally
She
sexy.
just is. She's got it going on.
And Pandu gets a glimpse of her.
Oh, no.
Does he get a garment-rending boner?
Yeah. What is a garment rending boner?
What do you mean?
Do I want to be able to picture that? No, don't draw it out for me. Oh, yeah, sure.
Yes.
A garment.
Poking out of the
I mean,
garment.
just imagine like a flagpole erupting from someone's,
Okay,
you know.
yeah.
Bizarre.
I guess for me that's just a boner, but that makes sense to have those details. We don't know what they're wearing at this point, so
Right.
now we know.
It was probably
Descriptions
drapey.
are important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Pandu gets super horny, hasn't been horny in 18 years,
Oh, no.
and he just kind of goes for it.
Uh-oh.
And this is where the story could get a little ugly. Because, depending on the different versions, but basically, he takes Madhvi. And Madhvi doesn't want to because he's gonna die,
Yeah.
you know? And then she's in the middle of it. Maybe she's like, oh, maybe the Rishi's curse is gonna go. Maybe she's actually getting raped. Just, you know, I don't want to, like, not say that that's something that happened.
Yeah.
But...
It does sound kind of rapey.
It sounds pretty rapey.
Yeah, and I read 3 different versions, and I was like, the rapey one is...
I mean, you just said that he took her.
Yes, I did. Yeah, that's the one I'm going to draw from.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if he took her, in the sense that I don't know if he got to it.
Okay.
Because he dies.
Before.
He dies in the mix of it.
Okay.
Depending on how strict the Rishi's curse was, because some say the
gosh.
Rishi's curse was just touch. Some was like, nope, physical act of sex would do it.
I mean, a boner that intense might have just caused an aneurysm.
That could be.
Yeah, maybe that was what happened.
Yeah.
Sure.
And it had been so long.
If we want to look at Pandu as being just a good old dude, then we can go with that one. That's not the one in my head.
A good old dude.
Yeah, who
With
doesn't?
an aneurysm. No, he was still raping her, but he had an aneurysm from the boner.
Oh, yeah, because
Yeah,
he hasn't
we're
had
not
one in
saying-
18 years. Okay.
We're not saying that he's good. I mean,
Okay.
he might have been good until now.
Mm-hmm.
But now he's taking a
He's
turn.
been good until now, but yep, and then a turn for the worse because he's clearly been punished for it.
Okay.
He dies. Madhvi screams. You know, she calls like the kids come, the kids and Kunti come, and Madhvi says like keep the kids away. Kunti comes and sees that he's dead. And he's like, what the fuck happened? They start to argue and like Kunti's angry at Madhvi. I mean, there's always been like a thing between them because they're both married to the same person. But Kunti's always like, you saw him at his happiest. I guess you saw the light of his life. You saw him in the heat of the moment. Like, fuck you. And they argue, and then the kids come, and they all kind of mourn together. And then the strangest kind of argument happens, where Kunti and Madhvi start fighting over who's going to join Pandu on the funeral fire.
They fight over that.
Yeah. Now, in this world, there is reincarnation. A lot of these characters are reincarnated people. You would, like, you...
But
you
there's
Azure, are you pro or
Yeah.
anti-funeral pyre throwing on?
Anti.
Oh, okay.
You're anti. Okay.
I think it's ridiculous.
You're gonna have to tell my parents.
It's fine. And you're screwing over your sister wife because you have what, 5 children?
So, that is the conversation that happens here. It's like, well,
Like, who's gonna get screwed?
who's taking care of the kids?
Right.
Bitch, you want me to take care of
Who
those
gets to
kids?
get reincarnated?
Oh, hell no.
Yeah.
This horny bastard, and who gets to take 5 kids on their own?
Because
He was
reincarnated
only once.
post-curse, right? So presumably it'd be like, you'd be reincarnation and it's going to be like, just making up for it.
I mean, that's afterlife, though, right? Reincarnated means you could be anything. Anyone or anything, right?
Yeah. There's, there's other worlds and there's reincarnation. Like, it cycles kind of back in somewhere, so like...
And relationships do not reincarnate. Like, I mean, they would have no reason to believe that they would be sort of like proximal.
If you die in that funeral pyre with him, then yes. Then that's the belief here.
Really?
That's the belief that I'm going to gather.
That's
You grab
different.
onto their coattails and then
grab
it's like,
onto
okay.
their coattails.
You grab onto that
The
dead
body
erection
passes
and...
in the same point. You
Oh,
grab
that was
the toe.
Grab onto that ashy dick and...
And the curse
Thank you
is
for-
done now.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So they start kind of fighting.
Didn't know
over
I'd be
that.
talking about this when I came over tonight.
Ashy
This is
dick.
That's what we're here for.
Said a lot of things that I have literally never said before.
It's amazing.
It's really incredible.
We haven't even got through most
really
of it. This is
eliciting some
Things you can't really
things.
say in front of your toddler.
Oh yeah, that's true. They will
Yes.
not be listening to this until they're 35.
Hello, listeners. Have you ever wondered if a dump truck would make a good pet? Well, our friend Peter Pearson can answer that. He is the author of 2 seriously silly yet informative children's books that I personally adore. How to Eat an Airplane and How to Walk a Dump Truck. His latest book, How to Walk a Dump Truck, is a vehicular spin on pet adoption, featuring an unlikely pet, a dump truck. Kids will not only laugh, but learn. Just like a new pet, a new dump truck is a heap of responsibility, but it's also loads of fun. In fact, the folks over at Booklist call it a story that is sometimes hilarious and always absurd, a treat for vehicle-loving kids. You can find Peter's books online or order them from your favorite local bookstore. All right, back to the show.
All right, where was I?
Ashy Dick.
Yeah, so they're
Arguing about the funeral.
They're
pyre.
arguing
yeah,
over
that's-
who gets to join on the funeral pyre.
And who gets to take care of all the damn kids?
And who gets to take care
They
of the
want to know who
kids.
gets to be the plus one on the funeral pyre.
Yeah.
And they kind of chat it out and talk it out, and
Chat it out.
and they kind of come to a consensus that because one has to be here, the kids, one apparently's got to go. Then neither one of them are going to be happy unless that happens, because they want Pandu needs someone with him is the idea.
Mm-hmm.
So
Can't even take care of himself in there.
Madhuri kind of agrees, kind of points out that they've always been a little jealous of each other, but one thing is that Madhuri's kids are the twins Nakula and Sahadeva, the younger ones. She was always kind of more focused on them, rearing them up. So she didn't love the other ones as much. These are the 2 that she really took care of.
That makes sense.
It does make sense. Kunti, on the other hand, didn't have that problem. Kunti took care of all 5 of them. Had no issues with that. Saw them all as her kids, as Pandu's kids.
Okay.
So, and I forget which one, but one of the kids even started to kind of love Kunti as well. In
So is
some
that
ways
fact
more
discussed
than
in the
Madhuri.
funeral pyre negotiations?
That is what is being discussed in the funeral pyre negotiations.
Okay.
And so they agree that Kunti stays behind, and Madhuri's gonna go on to the next life. So they do the funeral pyre. The Rishis help out.
They do the funeral pyre. It just sounds so clean.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on.
They get everything ready.
Oh, they build it.
They build it, and it's
I gotcha.
incense.
I thought the
and
same thing. She jumped on it, just was gladly.
They do the funeral pyre thing.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's over. Tell us how.
They prepared it all, and the body's there, and she sits in the lotus position at the foot of the covered body of Pandu, and the fire is lit. There's intense pain for her for a while, and then, eases out.
She burns to death.
She burns to death.
As someone who has just lit on fire,
That
is not how it went.
You weren't
That
in the
is
lotus position.
not
You
how
went
it
to the
went.
lotus position.
No,
It wasn't just a flash of pain and then nothing.
it's the opposite.
But this was you're talking about a regular fire.
Yeah.
It's this is a funeral pyre, which I'm on. I'm sure it'll be different. You can tell me in the next life. I think
Just
we'll be having a
continue.
discussion later.
No, it's
But
fine.
in
We
like
will not.
in some of the text I was reading, they talked about how like the original tradition was that a wife would sit at the base and the fire would be lit, and then she'd get up and leave.
Great.
Yeah, it was just like to be there when the body passes.
I
Sure.
see.
That was like one of the. That was what it
You would
took.
be willing to do that?
I would do that.
Yeah, okay.
For sure.
Okay. I guess this is a funeral. Like, how should we haven't talked about how we're gonna figure out a death thing,
We're not
so we'll
doing
see.
this.
Okay.
It won't be on a podcast, probably.
It probably won't be on a podcast. Yeah.
We will not record it.
We'll see what the context is like.
Oh, good
That
lord.
was the original, and then there's been terrible.
Fascinating.
It's called Sati burning. It's taken many different directions, but yeah, there was apparently a time when like this was just meant to be it, and when it did happen, it was always optional. Mm-hmm. It was always like the choice of the bride to do it, unlike some other terrible examples I've heard of since.
Yeah.
Which are definitely absolutely not.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
And then there's the decision to be made that it's time to return to Hastinapura. It's time to return to the kingdoms.
To Elephant City.
To Elephant City.
We're back.
The kids have been...
I'm
Impressed that I remembered that.
Yeah. The kids have been... your kids have been learning from the best of us here by the wise rishis. They know their shit. They know how to rule. They all have their different skills. Arjuna, for one, is like an exceptional archer. Mm-hmm. And I think it's actually Sahadeva. In some renditions, Pandu actually told his kids that he foretold this. Like, he saw that he would die at some point. Mm-hmm. And he told his kids to, when that happens, to make sure they get a piece of his flesh to eat. And it'll give them magical powers.
Okay.
And knowledge. Kind of like... There's a similar story in Nordic mythology where a dude eats a salmon. But this is actually the father's body. Now, in all of this with the funeral pyre and things, like, they don't really get that. But there is, like, an ant that has somehow scuttled away with a tiny fragment of Pandu's
I say
body.
that this is weird and as though I was not a person who took communion all through childhood.
Right.
So, I mean, it's like, wait a minute, this is a super common idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm not. I mean, I've heard of eating flesh as a healing property in some cultures. Like, what is it, Egyptian? Was it an Egyptian culture where it's a very ancient one, but you basically soak a corpse in honey for many years, and then that vat of honey is used as a healing property, and it's.
I wonder if anyone tried
very
it.
Powerful.
I wonder if anyone tried that with the honey and without the flesh and had the same results.
I don't know. No one will ever know.
Sahadeva sees an ant scuttling away and sees a morsel, and so picks that piece and eats it. And he becomes extremely wise. But...
Not bad for just one morsel.
Not bad for like a time that an ant was carrying away.
I mean, they can carry 50 times their weight.
That's something. Okay, so like a cockroach's worth, then, let's say, of I don't know,
just a little
of toe,
a little
meat.
gobbet.
Yeah,
yeah, a little bit of meat. It doesn't need to be a cockroach. I like the ant better.
The ant. Well, I'm just thinking of the size.
For some reason.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of the size of like.
Ants are stronger than cockroaches, aren't they?
I'm thinking like an ant can lift a cockroach if you're saying 100 times or 50 times more.
You're saying the morsel is like a cockroach?
Let's just say a tiny morsel.
Yes, that was way better.
We're getting a lot into insects and things.
I know, it's too much.
So Sahadeva actually has...
way more entomology here than I was expecting. I'll be very honest about that.
Sahadeva eats this and has visions and is able to kind of see the universe in a different way. So he becomes very wise. And in South Indian mythology, he is responsible for the sciences of astrology. And then all of things kind of connected to that. So that's just a nice little tidbit with Sahadeva.
Are we sure it wasn't a morsel of mushroom and not flesh?
No.
Great.
Yeah, I'm not. I wasn't there in the moment. And
indeed.
Who knows? There was a lot of smoke and things going on. Probably ghee involved.
Sure there was ghee involved.
So they decide that the kids are going to go back to Hastinapura. They're going to live their lives there as kings in this royal kingdom. They're taken back. The rishis come with them just to kind of like guide them and make sure they're safe. Dhritarashtra, blind Dhritarashtra and Gandhari come out. The old and wise Bhishma comes out, the person who's kind of been like, in a way, taken on the responsibility of continuing this bloodline through a lot of like hurt and pain and deaths. But they all kind of come out and they welcome the 5 Pandavas into Hastinapura. So all of a sudden now, these kids have been living in the woods, they've been living in the forest, learning from rishis on like the bare minimum. Now they're in a palace. Mm-hmm. And they're still kids. Like, I believe, like, Yudhishthira, who is the oldest, is 15.
Okay.
And so then Duryodhana is about the same age as well from Dhritarashtra's
So it's like
side.
Sound of Music.
Mm-hmm.
Like Sound of Music, yeah. Duryodhana fucking hates this shit. And he especially hates Bheema. The son of the god of the wind, the second born.
Okay. Not Bhishma, the old wise guy.
Not Bhishma. He loves Bhishma. Bhishma loves him.
Wind Kid.
Wind Kid, yeah.
Okay.
And Bhishma and Bheema actually form a bit of a connection.
Okay.
And that makes Duryodhana even more jealous. Because he felt like he used to be the favorite. He's jealous of Bheema. They were born on the same day, too. So there's that kind of like
You gotta share a birthday.
rivalry. Yeah, exactly. You gotta share a birthday, too.
It's the worst.
Bheema is...
You never get your own gifts.
Yeah. Bheema is super strong. He's super excited to be here. And is enjoying it maybe a little too much. So...
Say more about that.
Sure. This is where, versions differ. Like, oh, he's just an excitable kid. This excitable kid probably did a lot of bullying. To the 100 other sons of,
when you can harness the literal power of the wind, I could see how you would be, get a little high on your own supply.
Yeah. And it's, exactly. And hard to kind of stop him. He would, knock down or, kick on trees that the other 10
Were there any other superpowered kids or no?
Duryodhana is also very strong.
Okay.
And, this is, a lot of this, I think they're all, to some extent, super strong, coming down from having Dhritarashtra as their father.
Okay.
Duryodhana, the firstborn of this, very strong. Strongest out of all of the 100 Kauravas, but not as strong.
Is that so? Question, Midnight's Children by Salman Rushdie.
Yeah,
is that
which I haven't read, but yeah.
But I mean, deals with this idea of superpowered kids who are born in the first minute of India's independence as a country.
Oh, fun!
And the closer they are born to midnight, the stronger their powers. But I wonder, and then there are 2 who are born on the stroke of midnight.
Oh, interesting.
And
I don't recall the context of that so far,
but I'm just wondering if that draws at all from this tradition of sort of this sort of this large cohort of special kids.
Yeah, I mean, so I haven't read Midnight Suns, but this is such a huge part of Indian culture, and as a writer, I can't imagine that Salman Rushdie wasn't familiar with it.
It seems like the sort of shit that Salman Rushdie would maybe have passing familiarity
Absolutely.
with.
I would think so.
Yeah. So Duryodhana is just becoming more and more angry with Bheema, with the things that he kind of does. He really doesn't like that this kid is the strongest now. Mm-hmm. And there will be points where 10 of the Kauravas will try and pile on Bheema, and Bheema will just shove
Spoiler,
him
that
off.
will not work.
Yeah.
Yeah, didn't work.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He just flings them off.
Just flings them off, and
the Anakin Skywalker.
Like every cartoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that.
So, there's a lot of animosity building between these young kids.
Mm-hmm.
And Duryodhana's also, concerned because he figured, again, that he would be king. Because his father was. And there's, conversations between him and... Sorry, there's another character named Vidura, who was the brother of Dhritarashtra and Pandu. Mm-hmm. Very wise, very smart, very intelligent, would be a fantastic king, but the son of a maid. So instead, he is a minister / advisor.
A lowborn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's talks with him where, Duryodhana's well, shouldn't I be king? My father was the oldest. I'm yeah, but, no one was actually following the bloodline. because of all these other changes that have happened to us. By that logic, Yudhishthira is going to be king because he's older than you. And so... So he's looking for ways to kind of already to weaken these 5 Pandavas. They are... And they're all that. And the other factor that doesn't help is that everyone fucking loves them. Everyone fucking loves them.
They're the golden kids.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And each golden in their own way.
They're cool,
Each is
they're
son of a
nice,
god.
they're cute, they're fun.
Yeah.
Except for the bully.
Oh, I'm sure the bully's very popular too.
He's probably
He may not be a bully with everybody.
He's like the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like the captain of the lacrosse team.
Captain of the rugby team. Oh, that guy. No, he's not that popular.
So Duryodhana starts having very, very evil thoughts. In comes his mother's brother, younger brother, Shakuni. So, brother to Gandhari.
Getting premonitions of fratricide. Is that where we're going here?
I don't know what that word means.
Killing your brother.
Yeah. Cousins.
Spoilers.
Shakuni and Duryodhana form a connection, and they start kind of talking, and Shakuni says, he's the strongest one of them. If you get rid of him, the others will weaken and fall. And so they start to
So they have interlocking power?
Just the fact that they, the 5 of them are very close. Bheema's the strongest.
Okay, so just psychologically
each
break
other.
down.
Psychologically.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
just psychologically.
Got it.
Yeah. And
They'd
so...
be sad.
I mean, sure.
Yeah. They scheme to kill Bheema.
Okay.
No.
And
Not Bheema.
they form this plan, and people are kind of on, that Duryodhana, doesn't like any of them in this, but he has this idea of, alright, there's this place
Bheema,
called...
fart into this bag full of knives.
Oh my god! Don't do it,
I mean,
Bheema.
just a regular bag. Just a
Don't
regular
do
bag.
it,
Yeah.
Bheema.
Sure.
No! What a way to go! Oh no, Bheema.
I'm guessing that... Please continue.
His poor butt.
Yep.
Duryodhana throws a beach party. A river party.
Oh, this is way more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we're all gonna go, we're gonna all take our riches and our wealth, we're gonna have a feast by the river, we're gonna swim in the river, we're gonna have a grand old time, we'll come back and eat some more because we're kings and shit, and everyone's kind of well, this is finally a nice side of this fella.
Yeah.
He's we gotta embrace this. He's something's happened, he's changed his tune, we gotta run with it. He's actually being nice and a good cousin and things. So, yeah, they all go and they all have, a ton of fun and they start to feast. They're feeding each other and Duryodhana is feeding Bheema.
Oh.
Dun, dun, dun.
And what he's feeding is poisoned.
No.
Not good food, but bad food.
Yeah.
Evil food.
That tastes fantastic. And Duryodhana, Bheema also, he fucking loves to eat.
Well, sure.
Bheema loves
He's really
to
strong.
eat.
He
He's
needs to
really
eat.
strong. He's like a Hulk fella.
Yeah.
He's gotta eat. All the showers he can handle.
Sure.
Nice.
Oh, buddy.
And so he eats a whole ton of these things, of these wonderful foods. And then Duryodhana is
Just a shitload of poison.
just a shit ton of poison.
Okay.
And Duryodhana's alright, let's head back. Let's, back to the feasting parts, after they do the swim.
Yeah.
And Bheema just kind of goes I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
So he just kind of
From poison.
Oh, buddy.
So he just sits down out of the river's way basically and just kind of falls asleep.
A bag of knives.
No.
So Duryodhana commands everyone to go, and Duryodhana sticks back
Of course.
and he goes to his unconscious cousin, binds him in reeds, and just gently just pushes him into the river.
Damn.
Yeah, some of those bad omens make a little bit more sense now with
Yeah.
Duryodhana. And then he goes back and
Not cool.
the feast happens. Someone asked, where's Bheema? And it's well, he was on the river, but, I guess he just went home. He was exhausted. So the Pandavas are alright, fine.
I don't know. He tied up his own legs and poisoned himself. I tried to stop him, but...
Oh,
Yeah.
Bheema.
Um,
This makes God.
Yeah. It's like...
What a horrible... Oh. It's just horrible.
Yeah, it's absolutely horrible.
Thanks. Thank you for the comfort.
I'm putting my hand on her shoulder.
I appreciate it.
Comfort.
Yeah.
Okay, the comfort is up.
It's such a visual, like, it's such a, like, him just slowly pushing him into the river is just, bye, Felicia.
Yeah,
Like,
it's awful.
So sad.
So the feast happens at home, and then they explain to the Pandavas that, he must have gone back to your...
I thought it was with you.
Yeah.
Damn it.
And, that night, Duryodhana and Shakuni celebrate, like, just themselves.
It sounds like a Columbo episode.
Yeah.
Shakuni brings in a couple girls in to, like, make it even more exciting as they celebrate, because the next day, of course, they're going to be... acting like they're in, like, supreme mourning once things kind of start to happen. It's all kind of comes out.
So let's have a wild orgy the night before.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's have wild orgy night.
Just get it all out. Just
in my mind,
all the emotions, all the fluids, just get it all out.
Get it all out, and then the next day we can play our part.
Yeah.
We can mourn, air quotes.
In my mind, this is still, like, a 15-year-old's plan, because, like, who the fuck else is it going to be?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, everyone, like, you're the first suspect here, man. Like...
Yeah.
Who would have had a reason to... Any conceivable motive.
Who just had an orgy the night before after this?
You seem to be having a celebratory murder orgy. Is that true? I mean, I wouldn't call it... what do you mean?
Did we hear, yay, Bheema's dead from your hut the other night? Did we hear that? Or did they live in a palace?
You seem consumed with guilt?
No.
No guilt.
No guilt.
The Pandavas return back. They return to their mother Kunti, and, like, do we know where Bheema is? And, like, she has no idea.
Oh, God.
They start figuring out. They call Vidura. If you remember Vidura being the wise one who should be king. And, like, Kunti tells them, like, who else could have done this? I was like, we don't know if anything's been done. Keep in mind, we're all going to play politics here. If you let on that you know for sure that you believe that he did this when there's no evidence, it's going to come back against you and the family.
Yeah.
So
people are treading lightly.
Be vigilant, watch out, but don't make this an issue, sadly.
Just be cool.
Yeah, just be cool with your second son dying,
But do they know he's dead yet? They don't know yet.
They don't know.
Has anyone checked the river?
We can check in with the river. Bheema floats. Bheema is like, he's tied up, he's been pushed.
He's made of little wind. Of course he floats.
Yeah. Well, no, he's also eaten a lot of heavy poison.
Oh, heavy poison.
So he sinks down. And the river kind of feels him kind of coming down. And the river is actually also a maternal parent of Bheema down, up the line.
Bhishma, right?
Yeah, Bheema. Yeah, through Bhishma.
Through Bhishma.
Yeah. Bhishma's mother is actually the river Ganges.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Look what I remembered.
Yeah.
Wow.
So...
Good old Grandma Ganges.
Yeah, Grandma Ganges.
Grandma Ganges. So Grandma Ganges kind of actually, like, create ripples in the ocean, creates a lot of unrest, that snakes come and start biting Bheema.
Okay.
But it
Bheema's body?
Bheema's body.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it actually kind of triggers a reaction in him to have him wake up.
Yes.
He's still sinking, but the poison of the serpents fights the poison that's already in him.
Yes!
And Bheema continues...
Quick, administer the antidote poison!
Yes.
Bheema continues to float down into the river, and at some point enters the secret realm of the Nagas.
The dragon things?
So Nagas in this mythology are a people who can also turn into snakes.
Okay. Okay, snake people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Amazing.
So
were the snake people sucking the poison out of him?
The snake people were biting him because they thought he was a threat. And because of this restlessness of the river.
Got it.
But they was actually in service to him.
Cool.
They were being duped.
Well,
Yeah.
kinda, yeah.
And it doesn't go too well for them.
You're
Because
just using us for our poison again, aren't you?
Yeah.
Bheema sinks down, and I guess at some point water is no longer an issue. So
Okay.
he goes into like a secret realm.
Secret realm, all bets are off.
Yes.
What is the name? Oh, I forgot to take the name of the realm.
Bubbletown. Bubbleville?
Sinks down into it and kind of like wakes up a little starting, surrounded by snakes biting him.
Sure. That's not pleasant.
And he starts...
Shitlantis.
Yeah. I like that.
Oh, man.
Shitlantis.
That's so...
God, this undersea city sucks.
This is garbage.
It's the worst fucking realm I've ever been to.
My first realm and it's this.
Yeah.
First realm, and it's just a bunch of watery snake people.
Biting me.
And they're all dicks.
They're all biting
Yeah.
me.
They're all dicks.
Yeah. And they're all, at this point, just snakes biting him.
Yeah.
And, you know, he
Welcome
reacts...
to Shitlandis.
He reacts as a 15-year-old super strong Superman type kid would do.
He murders all of them.
He starts like fighting back
Well,
and
sure.
like smashing their heads on the
course.
ground and just fighting back. And they're
What
like,
would you do?
Last thing I remember,
do
I
the
was
same.
feasting, and now fucking this.
I know.
Now this thing's feasting on me. So he's going a little like apeshit crazy on these snakes.
Obviously.
With reason.
With
Yes.
reason. Snakes are like, what the fuck's happening here? Like, this ain't no normal kid.
Yeah.
They like, you know, that those that are able to like get away, and they go up to their king, Vasuki.
Vasuki. Okay.
And so Vasuki's like, yeah, what's up? Is like, this kid has somehow come down here and he's killing the shit out of us. He's super strong.
Well, did you bite the shit out of him? Well, I mean, we
Well,
did.
yes.
Yeah.
All of us, I guess, now that
Uh-huh.
you mention it. Whatever.
Did you tell the others to stop? Well, no.
No.
No, he's killing us.
Well, okay.
I'm just imagining if my kids like came up to me and like, it's kind of like all of us. Like, well, did you start biting him in the face? Like, well, yes. Like,
So
well,
you
natural consequences there, buddy.
Exactly.
Gonna get murdered by the wind child if you bite him in the butt.
It's always the butt with you.
I mean,
I like it.
I imagine the face was full, so they just leave the butt in some
The
other
butts
places.
would be delicious.
I'm also imagining him farting. Like, what would the child of the wind farting be like? It'd be amazing.
It would be.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm hoping sometime I'll come across some...
Maybe that's one of the things that
It's a
creates like
Bheema's
those forests where
farts.
like the trees are growing sideways.
Maybe.
Bheema farted.
Yeah.
He does eat a lot,
Just imagine
too.
like a big bronze plaque where it just says
God,
the
if you
forest of
thought-
sideways trees, Bheema fart.
If he eats like a lot of lentils and stuff too.
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy.
Yeah.
And if he likes to eat, if that's his thing, I imagine this happened a lot. Mm-hmm. That's probably unspoken one of the other problems.
Yeah, that you know, I mean, with that, maybe Duryodhana was just trying to help the environment by trying to kill Bheema. Who knows?
Okay,
The
so
equivalent of the cows of today. Hello, dear listeners. I wanted to tell you about my business, Imagination Life Coaching. Through Imagination Life Coaching, I work one-on-one with clients to help you achieve your life goals. I'm someone who believes that we human beings have incredible minds, but sometimes life, stress, and our internal negative chatter can turn our minds against us and pull us away from reaching our potential. But we have the ability to reverse this and go way beyond. Through Imagination Life Coaching, I help you imagine new possibilities for yourself, create new systems and ways of thinking, and commit to healthy habits that help you take ownership of your mind so you can achieve any dream you set your mind to. If you are a creative artist, I can help you delve deeper into your creative action. Visit my website, spjayraj.com, that is spjayraj.com, to schedule your first free consultation. All right, back to the show.
So the Nagas are just sort of like, he's killing the shit out of us,
Yeah.
and he's like, go on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Vasuki thinks about it and, like, you know, listens to what they're saying and is like, oh, I think I know who this kid is. So he
I've
goes.
heard rumblings of this. Of
Our seismologists are quite familiar with this child.
Couldn't stay away.
Yep.
So he goes back. He goes to see this kid and
I'm the king of Shitland.
breaks up the fighting. Reveals his human-esque form. And embraces him. Embraces the kid. He's like, okay, this is.
Sorry about my murdery children.
Yeah.
Thanks for killing some of them.
Yeah.
There's too many anyways.
Right, because they are his kids, but Vazuki's like, oh, it's Bheema.
Would have been awkward for me to do it, but personally, fewer kids. No.
Yeah.
Not a problem.
But, so the entire atmosphere now changes, because now Bheema is suddenly a welcome guest here.
So, how does this go down? Is this sort of were mistakes made when it's just he wasn't all the way dead? He was heavily poisoned and pushed in the river, but Duryodhana didn't go for the killing shot.
He thought
it's like a classic mistake.
It's a classic. You didn't give him enough poison to kill him.
Yeah,
because he's so powerful.
Right.
Yeah.
But then if you did definitely enough to make him unconscious, sent him into the river, did not expect that he would enter the secret world.
Well, and he forgot about Grandma.
Yeah, he didn't. No one thought about Grandma.
No one thought about Grandma, and she's like, not my baby.
Mm-hmm. And it's great grandma too, so it's so further down the road.
This just seems like a rookie mistake on Duryodhana's. I mean, it seems like he's brought low,
Could've
hoisted
stabbed
on his
him.
own petard, brought low by his own hubris.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but he's 15.
That's true.
Hopefully
He was
That
a 15-year-old.
Hubris does crest around that age.
Yeah.
That's true.
So Vasuki welcomes Bheema, explains that apparently there's also they have a similar bloodline too. Mm-hmm. So somewhere down the line, they are related.
Okay.
He introduces him to this other Naga Aryaka. Yep, Aryaka, who is actually not a descendant, an ancestor of Kunti.
Mm.
Oh.
So, and
Lovely.
it's part of being in a magical world where people live forever in this world.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
So this is basically an ancestor of Bheema's too.
Cool.
So yeah, they take Bheema in and ask him they kind of piece together why he's here, but it's kind of this moment of just surprise celebration. I guess they sweep away all the dead cobras from before.
Sure.
Pay no attention to these dead cobras.
They tend to his
everywhere.
butt wounds.
Yeah. They don't just send
Sir, you butt hurt. Hurt in the butt, I mean.
Yes, I am. May I have a butt?
Balm.
Mm-hmm.
I need butt balm and a butt band-aid
And a butt rub.
and a butt
Yeah.
rub.
They provide Bheema with the things he loves. Food.
Butt rubs.
Butt rubs. They do spoil him quite a bit.
Butt rub.
We're talking about snakes too and butt rubs. Okay.
A term that's all too uncommon.
They offer... So this realm is also a realm of extreme wealth. There's gold, there's jewels. There's no light from the sun over here,
Yeah.
but everything is encrusted in jewels. People are wearing clothes that have jewels on them. And so from those
But there's no light
things-
from the sun. Where's the light from?
Apparently the jewels.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Magic
Yeah.
jewels.
Magic jewels.
That's cool.
So it's like the deep ocean, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the deep ocean with but without the awful anglerfish.
You're like Bangler fish.
Yes.
Oh,
Oh,
I
that's
like
good.
I like that.
Oh, that was good.
The Bangler fish of
Atlantis.
Shitlantis.
Atlantis.
We are the Bangla fish of Shitlantis.
Didn't realize that was a real song.
It is
Will
now.
be now.
Wow.
They offer him a ton of their wealth, and Bheema's
The
not
version of this
interested.
story that archaeologists recreate 100 centuries from now from this podcast is going to be amazing.
Yeah,
It really is.
I agree.
And you can hear the song on the extras.
You've been looking at the ancient text, and things really took a sharp turn
Yeah.
in the early 2000s.
Somewhere in distant text in the future, it's gonna be
Yeah.
"fuck" was a Sanskrit word.
Yeah, it totally was.
Yes.
None of the texts of today. He's offered jewels and gems and riches, and he's no interest in that. And it's like, well, you're already a king, so I guess you wouldn't have any interest in this. Oh, I know what you'd like. They prepare something called Nagamrita. Amrita is the name of a magical drink. So this is one prepared in this already magical place.
Yeah.
With all these like,
So
otherworldly
it's a snake
herbs.
Magic luminescent gems.
Yeah, so like there's even like some gems in this. There's certain poisons to certain degrees. But
he just had poison.
Yeah, but don't forget that when he was
good
bitten,
poison.
it cleared the other poison out. So this is more scientific, and it's like concentrated substance that will make him immune to other poisons and also make him stronger.
Oh, right.
And normally you do just like...
This is like a +4 potion of healing.
It is.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a +4 potion of healing.
Yeah.
This is wonderful.
And it's like you just take a little sip, but they brought Bheema like, a big giant ass cup of it.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, like you gotta drink it slowly. And Bheema like smokes and just
Oh, no.
Tosses it back.
tosses it back.
Oh, shit.
He's fine.
Okay.
He's
I thought
so
like he'd
I guess
explode
when you're
for...
like the child of
You
the wind,
didn't,
you can
like,
just do
Willy Wonka
shots
it.
like that.
you can. Yeah.
Okay.
Damn.
Okay.
And he does like 7 more.
Okay.
What?
Yeah. Just keep like 7 more, and it's like a heavy liquid. This like it's like the density
Viscous.
of mercury, but he
Oh.
downs them all, takes a rest, but basically is now like 1,000 times stronger
Shit.
Damn.
from this
He's
experience.
gonna come out of the river like...
So he's gonna explode like Godzilla from the river Ganges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the noise I was making. You used
Uh-huh.
the right descriptive words.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean,
Teamwork.
yeah. Yep.
So,
Makes the revenge work.
Yeah.
Teamwork makes the revenge work.
Yeah.
We'd be great at that
Yeah.
together.
At,
Yeah.
at revenge work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
totally.
think we could.
Just make a list.
Yeah.
Just like Arya.
Yeah.
So he's, they take him back to the surface world, secret tunnels in this
I'm just like
magical
imagining
world.
this like Rocky like montage of him just like slamming
Yep.
insane enchanted like drafts of this glowing gem potion while at the same time just
that's
like
totally it.
pumping
Totally
like
it.
golden
Pumping
barbells.
golden
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's got
And,
like glowing liquid flowing down his glistening chest.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like running up steps, like bench pressing babes,
Uh-huh.
Snakes.
Yeah.
snake babes.
Snake babes.
Snake babes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
Snakes with big boobs.
Yeah.
That website probably exists.
And like
Oh, I'm sure it does.
pulling Fort Knox's
Is that
behind
Rule
him.
42 of the internet? I forget which one it is. Anyway.
He's escorted back up.
Mm-hmm.
All is, he actually comes back right to where
So does he know what has happened at this point? Is he like, oh shit, I was totally poisoned? Like, does he get that?
So once he comes up, like...
Or do they take him aside and they're like, bro?
They explain it to him, but he's kind of wrapped in this excitement and this, like, he's in this whole new world of jewels.
And he's gem
people
drunk.
love him. He's
Yeah.
eating new food.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once he kind of comes up to the surface and is like, all right, I gotta go back home.
You're right. Well, guys, it's been awesome, but I gotta really get an
Yeah.
Uber here.
Yeah.
As he's making that journey back and, like, gets to recollect, and he's like, yeah, shit, my cousin tried
Now that I think about
actually
it,
kill me.
Uh-huh.
conveniently though, I have now the strength of 1,000 former selves.
Thanks of 1,000 former selves. So he goes back. It's been like maybe 2 weeks or so, and his family's like in mourning. They prepared.
So his
everything
body
to
was
be
never
mourning.
found.
The body was never found.
Sure.
It had
Okay.
been 2 weeks or so. Again, different versions of the story.
Yeah.
Sure.
They prepared a feast, a wedding feast, or like a funeral feast of all these like vegetables and things ready to be cooked. One thing to know in Vedic traditions, a lot of these items are usually, you don't necessarily like mix different foods together so much. And so I'm not sure how they were planning on like preparing all that, but that was the idea that they would, as part of the funeral rites. And then Bheema comes back and is like, oh shit. And Bheema didn't want all of this to go to
I mean,
waste.
Bheem doesn't come back, he comes back.
Yeah.
And he's like,
Come back
hey!
so much stronger.
So he comes back like Odysseus.
Yes.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Into like the court of the suitors who would steal his wife.
Yeah.
And everybody was like super excited.
But he comes back to just his family first.
Okay, cool.
So he comes back with a freshly rubbed butt and terrifying power.
Terrifying strength. And, one of the first things he does is he sees all these vegetables and things. and he cooks a meal.
That's amazing.
He cooks us a meal.
It's like, I'm gonna fuck up that. Holy shit! Look at this feast. Like that's where.
Look at all the carrots and onions.
I am really starving.
I had no idea I was this hungry. I've just been drinking potions.
Nothing
for
makes
days.
me more hungry than having eaten so much already.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He
I'm
makes.
just like imagining like this like Kill Bill situation where he's like coming up to like the crazy 88s and like and then suddenly he like looks over and sees Chipotle and is like, oh shit.
I'm gonna fuck up that bowl.
like,
I'll be back.
Yeah.
Don't go anywhere.
Don't go anywhere at all. Oh,
5 vengeance burritos, please.
That's guacamole. Anywho.
So all this to say that he makes this meal and this dish called avial, which is a dish that apparently like we can make today.
Ooh,
There are
we should
recipes
do that.
for it online.
Great.
Have you done this?
I have not, and it's a South Indian dish. I know there's like vegetables and coconut milk.
There has to be coconut.
Curry leaves and all that stuff. So no,
So all
I
the
haven't.
normal things.
But when we hit a point in this podcast at some point, we should bring everyone together and have avial.
Yeah,
and
we should.
hopefully we like it.
And wreak vengeance.
And wreak vengeance. Yeah.
On competing
Absolutely.
We'll
podcasters.
feed each other avial and hope for the best.
They later then, they go back to the palace and start eating with them, and they're like, and Vidura is like, keep your eyes open. Like, let's see how people react to you being back. And like they know Duryodhana's involved. Like, he's been happy for a while. He's been placating, being unhappy for a while.
Despite his obvious motives and lack of sadness, they figured out he was one who maybe did it.
They figured out, but there's no going to like Dhritarashtra and Gandhari and saying this to his blind parents because
So he's being protected by like political considerations.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like as in like there's no point in telling them this because it's gonna be, but they know. Like the Pandavas absolutely know that this happened, and Vidura figures out that Shakuni as well.
Oh man.
So it's definitely these two.
Thus
that tried
begins.
And as things kind of go forward, Duryodhana starts to kind of bring his brothers more into the mix and starts trusting more of this 100 of the other Kauravas.
Okay.
And so...
What if we tell, 40 brothers?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's 40 of
Yeah.
them.
Just
To
keep
start.
it on the DL.
To
The
start.
other 60, I don't know about them yet.
Yeah.
59.
Oh,
Oh,
59.
your math is good. Oh, but there's Jujutsu too.
Oh, okay.
So,
58.
which they do...
It's hard to keep them
well,
all
no,
straight.
60. Because you add Jujutsu, don't you? Let's see. It's,
Yeah, because they're not included in the
Duryodhana-
100 brothers.
Isn't
Yeah.
he one of the brothers, though?
Jujutsu is not one of the 100. Jujutsu had a natural birth because he was the one who was Dhritarashtra the maid.
Okay, he wasn't
He's the
like
one that
fired
came
out
out-
of a womb like a machine
No,
gun.
he's the one
Yeah,
that came
right.
out absolutely perfect, but his mother was a fucking maid.
Oh,
So he's
right.
worthless.
I see.
He came out
the perfect chiseled
perfect.
lowborn.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfectly. Like, handsome, smart, all
So
the things.
trash.
That was
he's
so both
worthless,
of them.
yeah.
It's both Vidura, and there's a lot of this kind of thing. Like Vidura was the son of a maid and super wise and super smart. And Jujutsu now, so at this point in the story, Jujutsu goes along with Duryodhana. Jujutsu's like, all right, these fucking Pandavas,
Man.
we gotta deal with these shitheads, and all the other 100 are like, I don't believe the sister's involved in these discussions. And
course
so
not.
they
Why
That would track.
Why would they let the one sister in on it? She's just on
Smurfette never made it to the
She's
high
just on
council.
the other side of the door going, guys, I don't want to do cross stitch
There's
anymore.
a lot of dishes back here.
Guys,
Yeah.
why do I have to be... I don't want to
it's a
iron
100.
any more underwear. Guys,
It's a lot.
can I come play with you? Anyway, I really want to shoot an arrow. I think I'd be good. Sorry.
Not her
Continue.
place. So the 100 brothers start to really conspire and start doing all these other plans, and at this point just kind of, figure it out from whatever Bugs Bunny cartoons, but all the plans they go to shit.
Of course.
They try to be sneaky and kill the Pandavas in several different ways. And it just things always mess up. Things are not going to plan. Like sometimes
Someone trips on a banana peel.
Yeah.
It's like the CIA and Fidel Castro.
But they seem to know everything. Like the Pandavas don't really fall for like they see the banana peel.
Yeah. And they
They
pick it
don't
up.
smoke the exploding cigar.
They pick up the banana peel and throw it away because they care about the environment.
Yes, because they're the good Pandavas.
Exactly.
So they but it's not just their awareness that the people trying to kill us. It is also Jujutsu. So Jujutsu is faking being along with Duryodhana and the 100 Kauravas, but he's actually secretly helping the Pandavas.
Oh.
They are communicating through very subtle and intelligent ways. He'll leave scratches on a tree,
Okay.
little marks on the wall, but they figured out a form of communication that protects Jujutsu when they are very concerned about you. Like, you're taking a big risk.
Yeah.
Like, he will kill you.
Yeah.
He will do this, but they come up with this really subtle form of communication.
Cool.
Morse code during butt rubs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a specific way to scratch a butt.
Yeah. If I
Scratch,
press
scratch.
here for an extra second, he's coming for you in the morning.
If I press the other side for a longer, he's coming for you in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if I press this other side, it's because the section is tight.
It's because I can't get enough of your sculpted ass.
Yes.
Ah, cousin love.
Even though I'm deathly afraid of whatever wind comes out of you.
Keep a hold of that sphincter, son.
So the lines
Boy.
and the forces and the sides is like basically at the end of this have been Kauravas. They want the kingdom led by Duryodhana. They want the nation. Pandavas are the enemies. Pandavas know, yep, they're trying to kill. We have to somehow figure out this political thing we have going on here and figure it out. Jujutsu's helping us. This will be the story of the Mahabharata. The main aspect of the Mahabharata that most people, I think, that are familiar with it know, it is a war between the Pandavas and the Kauravas.
Yeah.
And this is the moment, of course, clearly where it's like, all right, like, right when they were, like, young, so, like I said, like, I think 14, 15, Yudhishthira's a little bit older, like, now it's when...
How old would Bheema be at that
Bheema,
point?
at this point, I'm saying, Bheema and Duryodhana, I'm guessing, like, 15.
Okay.
15, maybe 16.
Yeah, so very impressionable ages. Ugh.
So, to pick up the Bheema's thread, like, so is the tension building before he comes back, or is it only afterwards?
There was, from Duryodhana's perspective, like, he wants to be king, and he knew that these Pandavas were out there
Right.
and would come back at some point.
Okay.
And so there was that,
He was
but
always
then...
leery
So,
of them.
He was always leery of them.
Okay.
Then, of course, the bullying.
Does Bheema, like, play his cards really close to his chest, or does he, like, does he call out sort of, like, you?
What do you mean?
In terms of, like he survives an assassination attempt.
Yeah.
And so, from which he returns. Mm-hmm. And so, does he keep this sort of like, oh yeah, I just must have fallen asleep and fell in the river. I don't know.
That is what all the Pandavas and Kunti and Vidura, that is what they do. They sweep it under the rug.
Okay.
Because they don't think it'll be believed, and they think that if that kind of comes up, it could be damaging to them. It'll be chaotic.
Sure.
And so,
You
but
can't
does
navigate
Bheema,
chaos.
like, so is Bheema okay with that? Like, he thinks that that's the right call?
That's up to us to decide. You know,
Okay.
He's got his brothers with him.
Yeah.
He trusts his brothers. He trusts Yudhishthira.
Mm-hmm.
Now, fortunately, Jujutsu is helping them out and protecting them further. Bheema's hot-headed, for sure.
I just feel like it would be
Bheema's-
hard to contain that kind of righteous anger.
Yeah.
Especially when he comes back 1,000 times stronger. You're just, like, primed for, a massacre.
He's got his family by him, and he's also been trained by the sages of the wood and meditation techniques and all the wisdom of the Vedas.
So he's not being led around by his negative emotions.
But
At
it's
this
there. Like, I
point,
can't
yeah.
imagine it's not there. Like, I'm just telling you, like, these are possibly ways that he was able to contain it.
He's
Okay.
But
supported
it
by his
took-
family at this point,
yeah.
right? So
But his personal vengeance is not the story.
He definitely, like, that builds.
Okay.
As, like, all the emotions and all that builds, and more things happen later on. And, yeah, like, it gets to certain points when Bheema's... At this point in the stories that I've read, like, he's he's keeping his patience. You know, he's
Okay.
still young as well, and so I imagine
Is he
that
biding
he's still,
his... Would you say he's biding his time?
Yeah, and I would say all the Pandavas in a sense of biding their time
Okay.
to do, but they don't. I don't think there's a sense of what yet to do. Bheema's probably like, just mostly just trusting his family, but
Do they perceive Duryodhana as a serious challenge?
he tried to kill one of them, so yeah.
Right, but I mean, like... But, like, beyond that, like, do they think that, like, well, he can't do that again, so is there anything else that he can do?
There are like numerous attempts, and we'll get
Okay.
into some of the more serious attempts.
Are the other brothers
Next
worth
time.
anything?
This is what's interesting. The other brothers are
Or are they just a
barely
bunch of
mentioned.
dudes? Is it like a fraternity?
Just a bunch of dudes.
Okay.
Well,
Like,
like it's
and-
always about the oldest, right? So
Yeah, but it's weird. Like, especially when I started reading this and I got to like the 100 brothers, I'm like, oh, this is why the story is so long. It's because we got to get through every one of these guys.
But
It's
not
like,
really.
Oh no, not really. It's mostly just that Duryodhana's like posse.
Okay.
They're basically Duryodhana's posse.
Gotcha.
That's where we'll end today with the lines drawn.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Poised for conflict.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, though.
Oh, man.
Yeah, well, you guys into this one. I like this
Oh,
one.
Shitlantis.
Just
Excellent.
hell of a place to
Uh,
recover. Unexpected.
Totally unexpected. Love it.
I mean, like, pretty solid 180 from his arrival to his departure from Shitland.
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
Really redeems itself.
Yeah. Lots of interesting ways that people died in these stories in particular.
I was stunned by how, like, oh yeah, you killed a whole bunch of, snake kids, but it was an accident. We get it. You're fine. Here's a potion to make you.
It was
100 times
justified.
stronger.
It's like, would it done
You
the
are
same thing?
You are
Forgiveness.
distantly related to us, so it's okay.
Yeah.
I got a level with you. I was this close to doing the same thing myself
Yeah.
yesterday, so
Yeah.
I feel you on that. You want another potion?
Yeah. Another 7 potions.
How's your butt?
How's your butt?
What I'm interested in tracking the story is doing it this way is also, like, because it's this oral tradition and many, I imagine, inconsistencies, like, this rivalry between Bheema and Duryodhana continues. They're both very good at the mace.
Oh.
So the mace in, like,
That's
ancient India
interesting.
it's a short-ish staff with a giant fucking ball on one end.
Okay.
If you've ever seen images of Hanuman,
Yeah.
which I can show you because I have a statue of him there, but these are maces in this time, and they're both. Peter's looking at one now.
Yep.
Oh,
That's like a spiked one.
that's a spiked one.
Yeah.
That might not be. They're like just
A smooth-
spherical balls.
I know,
A
but
smooth
this is a
smashing
badass
sphere.
one.
That's a badass one that you do. Yes, it's not historically accurate in this very, very academic podcast.
Let the record show that I. Whatever.
Let the record show that
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
So one of the things I'm interested in reading the story and studying it more in depthly is that because they have clashes in contests as well as in actual fights and things, and somehow they match up like in later stories. Like in this part of the story, it's clear that Bheema started off being stronger than everyone, and now, of course, as we've learned, is 1,000 times stronger. And I'm like, are there hidden stories where Duryodhana also became stronger because they become somehow in the stories evenly matched later on? But I
Interesting.
haven't read why, and like one argument can be that Duryodhana is just actually way, way more skilled. But even when you're way, way more skilled, you're talking someone who's 1,000 times fucking stronger than you, you know? Like, the greatest martial artist in the world isn't going to stand up to the Hulk.
I mean, it might
Maybe.
be sort of like, Magic the Gathering started out with like this core group of cards that all relate to each other, and then you just keep piling shit in there,
Yeah.
and finally it's just
Yeah.
like, I don't know what the fuck, like you've got all
Yeah.
this stuff in place. So maybe someone maybe that got glossed over.
Maybe it got glossed over. So
Maybe.
it's interesting, like, getting deeper into the story as I do this. Like, let's see if I can figure out some things to make him strong again.
Yeah,
As
well,
strong.
and I mean, in that storytelling tradition, like, to what extent would it have been important that sort of like that little inconsistency would have been even addressed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I think that's one thing that's interesting. Like, some of these like very, very old stories, it's kind of interesting to think about like what would the role of this story have been at the time, and like how would it have been, you know, like these days there's, you know, we you know, in sort of like the modern United States, like we consume stories for entertainment.
Yeah. Right.
And have like certain expectations of like tight narrative and whatever. And, you know, whereas some of these more sort of like languid, sprawling, epic stories would have just served a different function.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, like you, I am trained to look for those sorts of things.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And of course, with this story as well is the fact that it's been told numerous times. It's told over, like there are some theories that say 3000 BC, some that say 1500 BC, because the Pandavas' fathers are not gods, and they're kind of referred to as devas. There's ideas that it came from a time before the establishment of, like the mightier gods, like Shiva and. Who's the other ones? Brahma and the one Vishnu. Yeah. So of course, and then like these stories weaved its way in too, because the character Krishna is and Arjuna are also.
Would Ganesh have figured into any of these stories?
The story of this being told is that a sage Vyasa brought the story to Ganesha, and Vyasa is an immortal. So he's lived through the entire Mahabharata stories. The sage goes up to Ganesha and basically narrates the story to him as Ganesha writes it down.
Okay.
So that is where Ganesha's fits into the story.
It's sort of like a meta narrative framework.
Yeah, totally.
Interesting.
So
that's interesting that there's like that. I mean, that framework you see here and again, where there's sort of like there's this sense of like in the story is being told.
Yeah.
Like self-telling stories, kind of, where like the telling of the story is itself part of the story. Yeah. Which is really kind of like, that's just kind of fascinating. I wonder if that relates to just, I mean, as you said, like this would have been related orally for just centuries, millennia, and maybe there was, you know, a story and the telling of a story, like they weren't different. Like there were no stories that did not involve like a storyteller and an audience. Sure. Yeah. Whereas I feel like these days, like, you know, like stories are abstracted from their, you know, they're delivered, the telling vessel disappears kind of. Whereas that...
What do you mean by the telling vessel?
As in, like, you know...
What is the vessel?
Like, when you're watching... Like, if you're watching a movie, you're not, like... they're not calling attention to the fact that you're watching the movie. It's just sort of, you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Like, there isn't any... You know, it's... Like, the mechanism for the delivery of the story is kind of, like, not important. Right. Yeah. Whereas in this, it's actually in the story.
Yeah, it is part of the... And features fairly prominently in the sense that Vyasa, the one who's doing this... He's the same sage who...
he's in the story.
He's in the story, and he kind of keeps coming in and out of it. Yeah. So that's also like an interesting little thing going on there. So that's why I love the story. I'm getting into it. I'm excited to get other people into it too. Yeah. Right on. So, all right. With that, thank you for being here, Peter Pearson.
Thank you. You ranged over a lot of territory today.
I'm really glad, yeah.
I feel like you told like a full 1.5% of this.
Maybe. Woo, I wish. I'm tracking it as I'm reading it like on my Kindle, like one version of it. I'm like, I'm 7% in. So we got wise to go. And that's fantastic. Yeah. But the rest of this is going to be Pandavas versus the Kauravas. Yeah. So
let's see why.
Here we go. With that, thank you, Peter. Thank you, audience. Thank you, Azure. Have an imaginative day. Thank you for listening to this episode of Not Your Mother's Mahabharata. Please like and subscribe to the podcast so that you don't miss our next episode. My name is Satish Jayaraj, and I am your storyteller and researcher. My wife and co-host is Azure Anderson. Azure also wrote the theme music, she did all the editing and producing, and essentially did all the work to get this podcast to you. Without her, it would just be me swearing ancient stories to friends in our living room. Join us next time for the next installment of Not Your Mother's Mahabharata, and have an imaginative day.